Hi everyone. I've made a couple of videos about making disciples, sharing the gospel. It's really great when we get to meet somebody new and tell them about Jesus, but what's even more amazing and more wonderful is when we get to share that with our friends and our family who don't know Jesus yet. In fact, in the Bible, there are so many cases where whole families come to the Lord, and that's still happening today, which is so wonderful. Whole families hearing about Jesus and coming to Him. Right behind me is the ocean. My father-in-law was cremated and his ashes were scattered in the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, right out there somewhere. But I know he's not there, and I know I'm going to see him again. How wonderful that he came to know Jesus. But it wasn't until his late 70s that he gave his life to Jesus. In the early years when I would talk about Jesus, one time he just told me, get out of the house. He wasn't open. So with our neighbors, our friends, and especially our family members, people we know for a long time, sometimes we just have to stick with it, persevere, pray for them regularly, keep good relationships with them. Well, finally, when my father-in-law was old, there were needs in his life, and he started to think about where he was heading. He was actually about to die. And I wanted him to hear the gospel again. And one day, my little daughter, she was like 8 years old, she came up to me and said, Daddy, I'm worried about Grandpa. He doesn't know Jesus, and he's gonna die. What should we do? I said, well, maybe if you ask him, he'd be willing to hear the story about Jesus again. So sometimes family members, especially children, can be our secret weapon to open doors, our secret key. Sure enough, the two of us went over at his invitation and talked to him. And when we were done, he said, I believe. And not long after, he gave his life to Jesus and was baptized and began to grow. It was so wonderful. But for about a year, he would talk to me about what he was learning and who he was becoming. It was so great. So let's try to reach our families. Let's ask God to help us persevere. Sometimes they're very open, sometimes it takes a long time. But by God's grace, it'll happen.